Before we begin today's incredible story, I have one small favor to ask. If you enjoy documentaries that uncover real archaeological mysteries and forgotten chapters of human history, please take a second to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue bringing these fascinating discoveries to life, and you never know which forgotten secret we'll uncover next. Imagine waking up one morning to discover that an entire lake has vanished. Not because of a drought, not because of human engineering, but because nature simply decided to drain millions of tons of water almost overnight. As impossible as that sounds, it has happened several times in Alaska. But one particular event stunned scientists for a completely different reason. When the water disappeared, it exposed something no one expected to find. Something that had remained hidden beneath mud and ice for thousands of years. At first, researchers believed they were looking at ordinary geological formations. Then they moved closer. The shapes were too regular, too deliberate, too organized to be explained by nature alone. Suddenly, what began as a routine geological survey became one of the most fascinating archaeological investigations in recent years. Alaska is often described as one of the last true wildernesses on Earth. Endless forests stretch towards snow-covered mountains. Massive glaciers slowly carve through valleys that have remained untouched for thousands of years. Beneath this frozen landscape lies a history that very few people ever think about. Long before modern cities existed, long before written history, people were already living here. For decades, archaeologists believed that much of Alaska's ancient past had been erased by glaciers. Thick sheets of ice covered enormous areas, crushing forests, rivers, and anything unfortunate enough to lie beneath them. Many researchers assumed that if evidence of early humans had ever existed, it had long since disappeared forever. Nature had other plans. In certain parts of Alaska, glaciers occasionally block rivers, creating temporary lakes that can exist for years. As water continues to build behind the ice, enormous pressure develops. Eventually, the glacier can no longer contain it. Without warning, millions of gallons of water burst through hidden tunnels beneath the ice and rush downstream. Entire lakes can disappear in a matter of hours. Scientists call these events glacial lake outburst floods. When one of these dramatic floods occurred, researchers quickly arrived to document the newly exposed landscape before rain, vegetation, and erosion erased valuable information. Initially, they expected to find little more than rocks, mud, and scattered tree trunks. Instead, they noticed unusual patterns emerging from the lake bed. Several large stones appeared to form straight lines. Nearby, other rocks seemed carefully positioned rather than randomly scattered. At first glance, the formations did not appear extraordinary. But experienced archaeologists know that history often begins with very small clues. The team carefully mapped every visible feature using drones, satellite positioning equipment, and high-resolution photography. The more data they collected, the stranger the sight became. Some of the stones appeared to outline what could have been ancient pathways. Others seemed arranged in circular patterns. None of the formations resembled natural deposits left behind by retreating glaciers. That was when excavation officially began. Every layer of mud was removed centimetre by centimetre. Every stone was photographed before being touched. The work progressed slowly because one careless movement could destroy evidence that had survived thousands of years beneath the lake. After several days, the researchers uncovered something that immediately changed the entire investigation. Beneath the sediment lay a worked stone tool. It was not a naturally broken rock. Its edges had been deliberately shaped. Microscopic examination later revealed tiny wear marks created by repeated cutting and scraping. Someone had made this tool, someone had used it. And someone had left it here long before the lake ever existed. Excitement spread rapidly through the archaeological team. One tool could always be explained away. Ancient people traveled enormous distances. Objects could occasionally be carried by rivers or moved by later geological events. Then another tool appeared, then another. Soon, dozens of artifacts began emerging from different parts of the exposed lake bed. Some resembled blades. Others looked like scraping tools used to process animal hides. Several contained remarkably fine craftsmanship considering their incredible age. Laboratory analysis would later suggest that many of these objects had remained buried for thousands of years without being disturbed. The implications were enormous. If people had once lived here, the landscape must have looked completely different. Today, the region experiences long, freezing winters and difficult conditions, but thousands of years ago, Alaska was entering the end of the last ice age. Vast grasslands stretched across areas now covered by forests. Herds of mammoths, ancient bison, horses, and giant elk roamed the valleys. Predators followed them, and where animals gathered, humans often did as well. The newly exposed site suddenly began to resemble far more than a temporary campsite. Researchers identified concentrations of charcoal mixed with burned stones. That suggested controlled fire. Nearby, they discovered fractured animal bones bearing unmistakable cut marks. The marks matched stone tools rather than natural damage caused by predators. Someone had butchered animals here. Someone had prepared food here. Someone had lived here. As the excavation expanded, more surprises emerged. Several post holes appeared beneath the sediment. These circular depressions suggested that wooden poles may once have stood upright in the ground. The wood itself had long since decayed, but the soil preserved their original positions. Could this have been part of an ancient shelter? No one was willing to make that claim yet. Extraordinary discoveries require extraordinary evidence. Every measurement had to be checked. Every sample had to be independently analyzed. Every conclusion had to survive intense scientific scrutiny. Then came one of the most important moments of the entire excavation. Organic material recovered beside several stone tools was sent for radiocarbon dating. The team waited anxiously. If the dates matched expectations, the discovery would already be significant. If they came back much older, everything might change. Weeks later, the laboratory results finally arrived. Silence filled the room as the lad archaeologist read the report. The samples were dramatically older than many researchers had anticipated. Old enough to challenge long-standing assumptions about when people occupied parts of Alaska. Old enough to suggest that humans may have been adapting to this harsh northern environment far earlier than previously believed. But perhaps the most mysterious discovery had not yet been uncovered. Near the center of the ancient site, ground-penetrating radar detected an unusual underground shape hidden beneath layers of compacted sediment. Unlike scattered artifacts, this anomaly appeared deliberate, large, symmetrical, almost architectural. The excavation team immediately realized they were no longer searching for isolated objects. They might be standing above something much bigger. And what they uncovered next would leave even veteran archaeologists questioning everything they thought they knew about this forgotten landscape. The radar image immediately changed the atmosphere at the excavation site. Until that moment, archaeologists believed they were documenting an ancient campsite buried beneath a vanished lake. Now they were looking at something much more intriguing. The underground anomaly displayed unusually straight edges and a shape that appeared far too regular to be explained by natural geological processes. No one wanted to jump to conclusions, but everyone understood they could be standing above one of the most significant discoveries ever made in the region. Excavation continued with extraordinary care. Instead of using heavy machinery, the team relied almost entirely on hand tools. Every layer of sediment was removed slowly. Every change in soil color was photographed. Every stone was carefully mapped before being moved. Archaeology often demands enormous patience, and this excavation was no exception. After several days, the hidden structure finally began to emerge. It was not a building in the modern sense. It was a carefully constructed stone feature unlike anything previously documented at the site. Large, flat stones had been deliberately placed to create a stable surface. Around them lay additional rocks arranged in a loose circular pattern. Although thousands of years of erosion had damaged much of the original layout, enough remained to convince researchers that human hands had shaped it. The question was simple: what was it for? Some archaeologists suggested it may have served as a communal gathering place where families processed food, repaired hunting equipment, and shared knowledge. Others believed it might have been connected to seasonal hunting camps visited year after year by migrating groups following large animals across the ancient landscape. No theory could yet explain every detail. As more sediment disappeared, another remarkable discovery appeared nearby. Several animal bones had been intentionally arranged rather than randomly discarded. Many belonged to ancient bison. Others came from large Ice Age mammals that once roamed northern North America. Microscopic analysis revealed clear-cut marks produced by stone blades. These animals had not simply died here. They had been hunted, processed, and carefully utilized. The evidence painted an increasingly vivid picture of life thousands of years ago. These early people were not merely wandering through Alaska by chance. They understood the landscape. They understood animal migrations. They selected campsites strategically near fresh water and travel routes used by enormous herds. Surviving in such an unforgiving environment demanded intelligence, planning, and cooperation. Perhaps the greatest surprise came from something almost invisible. Scientists collected tiny samples of ancient pollen trapped within layers of sediment surrounding the artifacts. Under powerful microscopes, those microscopic grains became time capsules from another world. The results revealed that the surrounding environment looked nothing like modern Alaska. Instead of dense forests and frozen tundra, much of the region had once been covered by open grasslands, rich with vegetation capable of supporting enormous grazing animals. This discovery explained why humans had chosen to live there. The land had provided food, fresh water, raw materials for tools, and access to migrating wildlife. In many ways, it had been an ideal location for prehistoric hunters. As laboratory work continued, specialists also examined traces of plant fibers preserved in the soil. Although extremely fragmentary, they suggested that ancient people may have used woven materials for carrying food or constructing simple shelters. Organic materials rarely survive for thousands of years, making even the smallest fragments extraordinarily valuable. Meanwhile, genetic researchers compared ancient environmental DNA recovered from the site with samples collected across North America. Although many questions remain unanswered, the growing body of evidence suggested that populations moving through Alaska were remarkably adaptable. Rather than following a single migration route, different groups may have explored multiple pathways as glaciers advanced and retreated over thousands of years. This idea has gradually transformed how many scientists view the settlement of the Americas. Instead of one simple migration, history may have involved generations of exploration, adaptation, and survival under constantly changing environmental conditions. The discovery beneath the drained lake became another important piece of that enormous puzzle. Perhaps most fascinating of all was what archaeologists did not find. There were no signs of advanced lost civilizations, no mysterious metal machines, no impossible technology. The real story proved far more powerful. It was the story of ordinary human beings accomplishing extraordinary things. Armed with nothing more than carefully crafted stone tools, remarkable knowledge of nature, and the determination to survive, they adapted to one of the harshest environments on Earth. They crossed landscapes filled with glaciers, massive predators, and unpredictable climates. They raised families, shared knowledge, created tools, built temporary homes, and left behind quiet traces that waited patiently beneath a lake for thousands of years. Ironically, had the lake never drained, those traces might have remained hidden forever. Nature concealed them. Then, nature revealed them. Today, archaeologists believe countless similar sites may still lie buried beneath riverbeds, ancient lakes, forests, and even modern coastlines submerged after the last ice age. Each new discovery reminds us how incomplete our understanding of early human history still is. Every excavation has the potential to rewrite another chapter. Every forgotten valley may preserve evidence of journeys no one has imagined. Every buried artifact carries the possibility of changing what we believe about our ancestors. Perhaps that is what makes archaeology so captivating. It rarely provides simple answers. Instead, every answer creates new questions. Who were these people? How many generations lived here? Where did they travel next? How many more settlements remain hidden beneath Alaska's vast wilderness? No one knows. But somewhere beneath layers of mud, ice, and ancient sediment, more forgotten stories are almost certainly waiting. Stories that have survived thousands of years in complete silence, waiting for the day someone uncovers them once again. What do you think? Could discoveries like this completely reshape our understanding of the first people to inhabit North America? Or do you believe the biggest archaeological surprises are still waiting beneath the ground?